Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into an extraordinary story that blends mystery, emotion, and timeless lessons. El Príncipe con la boca de oro, also known as the Prince with the Golden Mouth. This story is more than just a fairy tale. It's a symbolic exploration of words, truth, and the power of influence. So, sit back and let's uncover the deeper meaning, the plot, and the message that make this story truly unforgettable. The tale begins with the birth of a young prince in a distant kingdom. From the very moment he comes into the world, the people around him notice something unusual. His voice carries a unique beauty, calm, musical, and golden. Every word he speaks seems to shine with wisdom and charm, as if his mouth were truly made of gold. The people call him the Prince with the Golden Mouth, believing that his gift is a divine blessing. They see his words as miracles, capable of inspiring and healing hearts. As the prince grows up, his golden voice becomes his greatest strength. He speaks kindly, and his words fill people with hope. Whenever someone is sad, he comforts them. Whenever the kingdom faces trouble, he unites everyone through his inspiring speeches. It's as though his words are sunlight in the darkest days. The people adore him. The king and queen are proud, and even neighboring lands admire the young prince. But hidden behind all this admiration is a quiet danger, the danger of pride. The prince begins to believe that his gift makes him superior. He starts to enjoy the sound of his own voice a little too much. Instead of speaking for truth or kindness, he begins to speak to impress. His golden words turn from a blessing into a tool for vanity. His advisors notice the change, but none dare to correct him. After all, who would challenge the prince whose words could charm an entire crowd? One day, an old traveler arrives at the palace. He is poor, ragged, and unknown, yet his eyes reflect deep wisdom. He asks to meet the prince, saying he carries a message that only the prince can understand. Out of curiosity, the prince agrees to meet him. When they stand face to face, the old man looks into the prince's eyes and says softly, "Your mouth is golden, but your heart is turning to stone." The prince laughs at this, thinking it a foolish remark. "Do you not see how my people love me?" he replies. "My words bring them joy." The traveler shakes his head and says, "Your words shine, but they no longer warm. Be careful, for a golden mouth can also speak poison if the heart behind it forgets humility." The old man leaves, and the prince tries to ignore his words, but something inside him feels unsettled. Over the next days, he notices that people listen to him, but their eyes no longer glow with admiration. His speeches sound perfect, but empty. He can no longer feel the connection he once had with his people. Slowly, rumors begin to spread that the prince's words have lost their power. Some say the magic is gone. Others whisper that he has grown arrogant. Desperate to prove himself, the prince calls for a grand festival. He declares that he will give the greatest speech ever spoken, one that will be remembered for generations. The entire kingdom gathers in the royal courtyard. As the prince begins to speak, his voice is strong and golden, echoing across the land. The people listen in silence, but midway through his speech, something strange happens. His words begin to falter, the golden sound fades, his tongue feels heavy. No matter how hard he tries, no beautiful sound comes out. His voice turns rough and ordinary. The crowd gasps. The prince, humiliated, runs back to the palace, his gift seemingly lost forever. Days turn into weeks, and the adored prince hides from everyone. The silence is unbearable. For the first time, he realizes how much he depended on his gift not to help others, but to feel important. Without his golden mouth, he feels empty and powerless, but in that silence, something unexpected happens. The prince starts listening. He hears the cries of his people, the laughter of children, the worries of farmers, the quiet prayers of the poor. For the first time, he listens not to reply, but to understand. One night, he returns to the old traveler's words, "Your mouth is golden, but your heart is turning to stone." The prince finally understands. His true gift was never his voice. It was his heart, the compassion and sincerity that gave his words meaning. When he let pride take over, he lost that connection. His golden mouth was only valuable when it spoke from a golden heart. Determined to change, the prince leaves the palace in disguise. He travels across the kingdom, helping people in silence. He works alongside farmers, listens to the elderly, comforts the sick, and learns the struggles of those he once ruled from afar. Slowly, he begins to find peace. He realizes that words are only powerful when they come from truth. Months later, while resting by a river, the prince meets a young girl who is crying. Her village has been destroyed by a storm, and she has lost everything. The prince, moved by compassion, whispers softly, "Do not lose hope. The storm may break your home, but not your courage." To his surprise, his voice rings out beautifully again. The golden tone has returned. But this time it feels different. It's not filled with pride, but with love. The girl smiles through her tears, and the prince realizes that his gift has been restored not because of magic, but because his heart is pure once more. He returns to the palace, not as the proud prince he once was, but as a humble man. The people, seeing his change, welcome him with even greater love. His speeches once again inspire them, but now his words carry depth and truth. He no longer speaks to impress, but to uplift. The kingdom flourishes under his reign, and he is remembered not just as the prince with the golden mouth, but as the prince with the golden heart. The story of El Príncipe con la boca de oro carries a timeless message. It teaches us that words, no matter how beautiful, are empty if they don't come from sincerity. In a world where speech can influence hearts and minds, the story reminds us to use our voice wisely. The prince's golden mouth symbolizes talent, charisma, and charm, qualities that can inspire or destroy depending on the heart behind them. Many people today chase admiration through their words on social media, in politics, in art, but forget that authenticity is what gives real power to communication. The story challenges us to reflect. Are we speaking to be heard, or are we speaking to be understood? The prince's journey from arrogance to humility mirrors the inner transformation every human must go through to find true meaning. His silence, after losing his voice, represents self-discovery. In those quiet moments, he learned more about humanity than he ever did through his golden speeches. It's a reminder that sometimes silence speaks louder than words. Listening, truly listening, is as powerful as speaking beautifully. The moment his heart aligned again with kindness, his golden voice returned, showing that true beauty in speech comes from empathy and truth. Another layer of the story lies in the symbolism of gold itself. Gold is precious, but it can also blind. It represents value, brilliance, and temptation. The prince's golden mouth was a double-edged sword. It gave him power, but also pride. When he used it with humility, it shone with purity. When he used it with vanity, it lost its magic. In this way, the story becomes a metaphor for all talents and gifts. Whether it's intelligence, beauty, creativity, or influence, they are blessings only when guided by humility. The transformation of the prince also speaks about redemption. Everyone makes mistakes, especially when success and admiration blur our vision. But redemption begins the moment we recognize our flaws and change from within. The prince's decision to leave the palace and live among his people shows true courage. He faced his weakness instead of hiding behind his title. His journey reminds us that leadership is not about speaking louder, it's about understanding deeper. In the end, the story closes with the kingdom at peace, and the prince remembered not for his golden voice, but for his golden deeds. The legend of the prince with the golden mouth continues to be told across generations, not as a fairy tale of magic, but as a lesson in integrity and compassion. When we think about our own lives, the story asks an important question. What is the value of our words? Do we speak to shine like gold or to heal like light? Words can build or break, inspire or deceive. The prince learned that the true treasure is not in how we sound, but in how we mean what we say. So the next time you find yourself speaking to others, remember the prince's lesson: let your words come from kindness, honesty, and understanding. That is what makes a mouth truly golden, and that's the beauty of El Príncipe con la Boca de Oro, a story that reminds us that every voice can be powerful, every word can carry meaning, and every heart can learn to shine again when guided by humility and love. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this exploration of the prince with the golden mouth, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more storytelling breakdowns like this one. Let's continue to discover the wisdom hidden inside the world's most meaningful tales.